Hello and happy Friday. Coming to you from the Nook at the Epicurean Corner Store here in beautiful downtown Rhinecliff on radiofreerhinecliff.org. This is, correct me if I'm Norm, and I'm your host, Norm. And my guest here tonight is the wonderful, amazing Jonathan Burkhart, who, can you say hi, Jonathan, before I keep talking about other stuff?
Hello, Norm.
Oh, thanks. Nicely done. Who brought me gifts. So, we were going to talk to Jonathan, but now I'm opening gifts because I don't know why there's gifts.
I'll explain to you.
An utterly correct guide to clarity and style. It's Dreyer's English by Benjamin Dreyer, copy chief of Random House. So it looks a little bit like a manual of style and usage, but more.
What's the top of it? An utterly... Yeah.
Oh, yep, you want me to read that? An utterly correct guide to clarity and style.
Right.
And there's another book, and it's all wrapped up. It's the Pocket Oxford American Dictionary and Thesaurus.
Now, do you know why I brought these to you?
Stop saying everything's fucking awesome.
No, because...
Find some other words for it.
So you and I have a habit of having a conversation where, in no uncertain terms, we question the word that is used. Is it the right word?
This is my life, yeah.
What happened last night? We had a conversation last night where you had to go to the dictionary. We had to go to the dictionary several times to identify, is that the right word?
Right. Or to look up the exact definition of some word.
I brought more dictionaries, just so you know. I brought I brought a rhyming dictionary. I brought...
That's great.
1,911 best things anyone ever said. I brought a book of jargon.
Fabulous.
I brought a writer's dictionary, which is insane. And I brought a music dictionary from the 1940s.
All right, can I have the music dictionary, please?
Yeah.
This is fabulous. You can just open it at random to some page and put my finger on it.
Yeah.
It's a picture of a drummer. But the word right above it is smorzando. Smorzando, which means dying away or fading, abbreviation s'mores.
Right.
So,
you want to try a jargon, Dix? Just go with something jargon
I don't know.
related?
Is this how the show's going to go?
No, well, just be the last one, but just letting
the
you
book
know
of
that.
jargon. All right, you can do the same thing. My eyes are closed and opening it up and pointing. Costs. That's the word, costs. The expenditures necessary to run a business. Fixed costs are those that have to be paid.
Anyway.
Do you see what I did there? I faded away.
You did.
Smorzando.
Exactly. Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so we're prepared.
Yeah.
Audience listening, we may need to refer to the dictionary so we know what the hell we're saying.
We need to. It's right here.
Yep.
All right. My first question is, what's your problem?
I'm nervous.
Are you?
Because of the cocktail portion of the night.
Really?
Well, because you're the master cocktail maker. You're the master chef.
Used to be until I came into this room with Matt.
Oh, is Matt
Who's a true master.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, my cocktail skills pale in comparison. So I brought all the ingredients. I looked up several. The one I want to make is called Manhattan Goes Hollywood.
Oh, perfect.
So I brought all the fixins, but talking to you and being in the room with Matt is like, that's the best thing. So I'm cool with that for an hour. But trekking, all the way to the hamlet of Rhinecliff, holy cow, I had to pack like supplies. I brought a tent and a sleeping bag in case the power goes out. And I got supplies. But
that's great.
I got
so
food.
If we get stuck here,
yeah.
Freak snowstorm or whatever.
Yep. Yep, we're good.
The hamlet,
yep.
as they call it. Well, since we're talking about it, let's just have the drink now. I usually like to wait at least okay. 15 minutes.
Holy shit.
But we're talking about it, so why not?
Well, just so we're clear, I need your assistance in making it. I got all the right ingredients, but the amount of bitters, the amount of this and that.
No, this is not the deal.
Oh, so I just have to put
tequila.
It in. Right, but this is the bottle that you and I have.
Yeah.
So for everybody listening, Norm and I did a show last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
We did a show in New York City.
So nice.
And when the night came to an end, there was a tequila sponsor who left cases and cases of tequila, and Norm and I went home with a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
So here on a Friday night, we are giving it a go.
And let's just talk about the show for a second, because it's really an amazing thing. You do it every year.
Yeah.
You work with this group called Project ALS.
Yep.
And they are working to find a cure or treatment for ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease.
Correct.
Which is really just a horrible, atrocious,
terrible,
degenerative neurological disease.
That's correct.
And it's a terrible way to go.
Yep. Project ALS has been working for 24, 25 years trying to find a cure, and it's currently incurable. There's no pill, no medicine, no nothing. And I'm a part of them because my producing partner from a long time ago, Jennifer Estes, was diagnosed. We lost her in 2002. So I've been with her and her sister, with her sister since that time, running Project ALS, and I produce their live events and all their medical documentaries, and I hang out with the doctors, and I also spend a fair amount of time with people who have the disease and talking about how they live with it, and it's tough. It's a tough one. But we do the show every year that you've been a part of for quite some time, and it's somewhat uplifting and positive, and
because they've got some medication that's going into
they have
phase 1
for the
clinical
first
trials.
the first time ever they have a drug called Procetin that is in FDA is approved to go into trial. So we'll see what happens.
And just I just want to give a plug, projectals.org.
Projectals.org. That's correct.
Is their website.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to go there and make a donation, it'd be a wonderful thing. Because it's a great organization, and this year, like you say, was kind of awesome because they had some real concrete good news.
It was a great show. Yeah.
And I'm going to make a plug for me. So Jonathan hired me to do this thing called Voice of God, which is amazing. In this enormous room, Cipriani's on 42nd Street, it's just cavernous. And I sit up in a booth and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, dinner will be served in 5 minutes. Please move to your tables." And it's so much fun.
What's a better one?
A better way.
When you introduce Ben Stiller or Juliana Margulies or somebody famous or Tom Kitt.
Yeah, it's fun enough introducing people.
Right.
But there's something more sort of cliche.
But you currently are the voice of God of Rhinecliff.
Oh, well, we should have a poll. We should ask Matt.
Why would you even go there? Let's just we're planting the flag.
Fine. Thank you so much. But you were answering the question, what's wrong with you? And then we were going to make a cocktail, and we got sidetracked.
Well, now I'm nervous because if we start drinking now, we have to do this for an hour. I'm going to be shit-faced.
Great. Well, just pour yourself a half a drink.
Oh, Christ.
You're 75. You should know how to sort of...
I'm going to get the ball rolling. Anyway,
yeah.
Do you have questions?
Do I have questions? I got tons of questions. So we've got the tequila, which came from this beautiful event at Cipriani's for Project ALS. And you get a cooler. I love how prepared you are. So you have some limes, you have some tequila, you have some simple syrup, and you have some bitters.
Right.
So it looks like a margarita.
Well, it says it's
in Hollywood.
I found Manhattan
it's called Manhattan
goes to Hollywood. It goes Hollywood.
Right.
And it's tequila, bitters, lime, and that's really it. I brought the simple syrup because you always ask for it, and I don't know if you're like, no, put some simple syrup in there. So, do we put some simple syrup in with this?
It's your drink. Okay. I don't.
And here goes the portion control.
Yeah, hold that up to the microphone so we can hear with the glug. Portion control. Okay.
Do you think that's enough?
I don't know. Fill it half up with tequila. That sounds good.
Holy cow!
So we're basically just gonna have iced tequila.
Jeez Louise.
Just like that's right. Last week, Joe just brought a bottle of mezcal.
Which of the bitters should we use? The Hudson Standard?
I don't know. It's your drink, for crying out loud. You only had a week to think about what you were going to make.
I had more than a week, and I.
All right. Well, while you're making this, why don't you? Where were you born?
In New York City, Mount Sinai on 96th Street.
And how long did you live in New York City? Boy, that's a lot of bitters. Not that I'm critiquing.
We Manhattan to Brooklyn. We were there for 63 to 70, and then Mom and Dad moved the whole family to Nantucket Island. So it was in the city for
63. So what are you 59?
58. Yep.
Yeah, I'm
58. Yep.
Well, you look good for 58. Come on, keep making the
Holy
cocktail.
Shit. Okay, this is where I need your help. So I
you
put the bitters in
read?
here.
You want me to read some grammar rules so you can concentrate on the cocktail?
Do you want some simple syrup in this as well, or no?
It's your cocktail. I'm gonna read grammar while you make a cocktail. Chapter 8: Notes on amid a list of frequently and or easily misspelled words.
Holy cow!
One of which is misspelled. That word itself gets misspelled often.
Right? Is it misspelled in that book?
It better not be. I hope, though maybe it is. I don't know. My spelling is getting worse the older I get. Okay, now you're putting some simple syrup in there.
Okay, now
we've got sweet tequila on the rocks.
Matt, I need your glass. Oh, it's right there.
That's it? That's the drink?
Lime. I have lime. Well, but I'll do.
Whatever you want.
I'm going to put the lime in the glass.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous right now. Why can't we just talk?
Well, we can. You can, but you've already poured most of that. Oh, thank you. Okay, there's the shaking. Oh, crap! I forgot the cocktail music. The shaking music. Well, we'll just have to do without it.
Matt can edit it in for the rebroadcast.
I don't know. So Matt, right now, for anybody listening at home, in case you hear a zap, Matt has a bug zapper, and somehow there's fruit flies in here. And the bug zapper, when it connects with the fruit fly, like that just happened. Oh, perfect, on cue. Makes the most satisfying noise. And if you could just hear the screams of the little fruit flies as they met their demise, that would be perfection. Because I can't stand fruit flies. Now, what are you doing with the limes there, Jonathan?
I'm going to squeeze them into the glass in a moment, but I cannot believe this is actually happening.
Looks perfect.
I swear, I thought this was going to happen like at 5:30 or 5:40.
Well, it is. At this rate, it is going to happen at 5:30 or 5:40.
I'm just, okay. Holy cow. When do we get to talk? I'm so nervous.
You keep saying that. All right, there's the limes. Now he's putting limes into the...
Okay, here we go.
So exciting.
Yeah. How are you, Norm?
I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Good.
I had a fabulous week.
Good.
Lovely. Yesterday, I did this arts crawl thing for Culture Connect, which is a local organization I work with.
Yeah.
And I run sort of their arts programming, such as it is. And yesterday I took a group of middle school kids out to a bunch of local museums, and it was a blast. So much fun. I always have more fun than anybody else.
It was good weather, too.
Such good weather. And part of it was we did the walkway across the Hudson. Okay, the lime is in it.
Give it a try.
Wait, did Matt get a lime?
Nope, I didn't, but it's coming. It's coming. I have a floater.
What, are you going to fish it out of your drink
No,
and give it to him?
Floater.
Didn't they just have bartender wars? Next year I want you to enter the bartender wars thing.
Matt, this is a giant, so I'm just going to go like this.
Thank you, Jonathan. Very nicely done. All right, cheers.
Cheers.
So this is a Manhattan in Hollywood?
This is Manhattan Goes Hollywood.
Manhattan Goes Hollywood. Cheers. Thanks for bringing it.
Holy cow.
Okay. Wow.
We're drinking.
Well, yeah, as I guessed, tequila on the rocks.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. Thanks for bringing it. So you lived in New York City, and then what?
Mom and Dad moved us to, my pot-smoking hippie parents moved us to Nantucket in 1970, where my twin brother Seth and I and my sister Jill went to school.
So pot-smoking parents, that's weird.
They had pot.
And they smoked it, and you knew they smoked it? Did you? You must have, stole their
I don't think
pot.
I ever saw my mom smoke, but I do remember one time I was like 10 or 11. We were at a party on Nantucket, and there was a circle of guys, talking and passing a joint around. And I happened to have my back towards this one guy who I didn't know was my dad, and he went to pass the joint, and he ended up handing it to me, and I took a hit. And then I handed it to the next guy, and Dad never saw that he handed it to me. That's the first time I got high with my dad.
But you weren't really with him because he didn't know.
No.
That's hilarious. Did he find out at some point? Did you tell him years later?
I might have, yeah.
Yeah, Dad, when was that your first experience with marijuana?
Gosh, it might have been actually. It might have been, yeah. And then I remember, so Mom and Dad, we had a bunch of old furniture, and there was this one. They called it a sink. It's a like a bookshelf sink thing, and it had drawers, and there was a rolled joint for like 20 years in this cabinet. And my brother and I used to look at it all the time. And I think when we were about 17, we stole it and smoked it. And the weed was from like 1968 or something. It was just really old and stale.
Was it like special weed, like sort of how people freeze a piece of
No,
wedding
it's just
wedding
a
cake?
joint that they left in a drawer. Really, this is where the conversation's going. I thought we were going to talk about something else. But
well, you brought up pot-smoking parents, and it's interesting. My parents would have killed me. I mean, I would have been sent to military school or something if I had pot on me. And so I didn't have any pot. I didn't smoke pot.
I remember coming home one afternoon with my friend Danny Manville, would get marijuana from his father. This is on Nantucket.
Okay.
And my mom...
Danny Manville, that's the name.
Right. And if Danny's listening...
Show up in his door.
Right. And anyway, so Mom knew we were high, and Mom said, "Where'd you get the pot?" And I said, "I got it from Danny." She goes, "Show me the bag." And I handed her the bag. She goes, "Did you pay for it?" I said, "Yeah, I gave Danny $20 for an ounce." My mother taught me the 4-finger method, how to measure the size of an ounce in a plastic bag.
couple of fruit flies just bit the dust. Go on. So your mom said this is how you do. What'd she say?
Just make sure you get a good count when you spend your money. I swear to God.
Good count, meaning 4 fingers.
Yeah, make sure you get the right amount of weed when you spend money on it.
That's a big bag.
Yeah, this is 1970, I don't know, 6, 77.
That's hilarious. And did you ever get high with your mom?
No, I don't recall that at all. I don't, and no, no, and I don't think I ever got high with my sister Jill.
But you must have at some point later on in life.
Gosh, and if my sister's listening, I don't think I've ever formally. I must have. I must have gotten high with Jill. I just don't know where. Maybe on the beach somewhere in Nantucket.
Is your brother listening? Is your sister listening?
I hope so. Yeah, and my brother Seth.
Yeah.
Total pothead. I'm kidding. No, he's a brilliant human being.
He may or may not have ever smoked marijuana.
When we were younger, when everybody's younger.
He's a musician.
Yeah, he's a drummer, and his wife is an amazing jazz pianist. And
drummer.
We used to get high much longer. Now that we're older,
Gene Krupa or Buddy Rich, one of those guys.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
The drummer who smoked weed and was a big hoo-ha. All right, you know what? Stop zapping the fruit flies. It's really just
right.
Really distracting.
Right. We should do the show in the dead of winter when there's no more fruit flies.
I think there's going to be fruit flies here in this room all throughout the winter.
Right.
So you moved to Nantucket. You were 3 or 4 or 10?
6 or 7. Okay. Yeah, we went and we all grew up in Nantucket in the 70s. It was very quiet.
What a strange change of pace from...
Radical. From New York City.
Yeah.
Yeah, very strange.
And why did the so-called pot-smoking hippies move to...
Well, they had gone there on their honeymoon in 1956. And I remember the story was they had gone to visit some college friends in Woods Hole, took the ferry to Nantucket for a day trip and stayed, I think, for a couple of weeks. And they had always loved it. And we went back a few times in the 60s when we were little kids. I won't go into great detail, but there was some weirdness with Mom and Dad, and they had to get out of New York. So we all moved to Nantucket. Dad was a teacher. He got a job as an art teacher at the Nantucket High School. Mom was a mom. We all...
Weirdness. Was your mom selling 3-finger bags of weed?
No. She, I think she volunteered at the food co-op, and she got involved with some art galleries, and Dad did his art. We had a boat. We had a big sailboat that Dad built from scratch, a big trimaran. So we'd sail all the time. And but Nantucket's a great place. I mean, back then in the... Back then as a kid, so my sister Jill and my brother Seth and I fell into our careers actually on Nantucket. My sister got into acting and theater and all types of production. Today, she's a very big, fancy vice president at a network, and she makes very big, fancy films.
What network? What network?
She's at Epix, which is now Amazon, and she produces like giant... high budget, fancy documentary series. Like she really is a stunning human being. And then my brother Seth, when we were in 5th grade, came home one day and said, I'm going to play the drums. He was in band class. And to this day, he's still a drummer.
Right.
He's a drummer, seriously. And he's gigged all over the world for decades, and he's incredibly talented.
And what do you do?
So on Nantucket, when I was a kid, strangely, a TV station was built, and every day after school, starting like 7th or 8th grade, I was at the TV station, and within a short amount of time, I was like the studio cameraman. I was taught how to edit. And then I was the technical director for the news, and I did that all the way through high school. But on top of that, I would leave Nantucket to go work on other productions and TV shows. I have this one bizarre thing I can share with you. I remember in like on this phase of being a kid.
Really growing on me, by the way.
Oh, good. Thank God. I remember 1978 or 1979, I had been working with the March of Dimes telethon that was done, throughout the United States. And I was in this New England chapter of it. And you do this 12-hour broadcast.
The Jerry Lewis?
No, that
was Muscular.
Yeah. And the guys, I remember one day called and said, hey, come to Connecticut. We need camera people to shoot this basketball game. These people are they're starting up a TV network, and it was the Rasmussen father and son who created the entertainment sports programming network, ESPN.
Oh.
And it became a thing. And I remember going to a warehouse at like 4:00 in the morning, and it was like miles of cable and cases. And we loaded up these trucks and went to Hartford or some college university there and shot a basketball game or something. And that's what I remember. But I knew that being at this TV station and working on all these productions as a teenager, I was going to get into TV and film. And
because you liked it. What did you like about doing that?
Well, as a teenager, I liked production. I liked that big team effort of a ton of people showing up at 5 a.m., unloading the trucks, and cameras get set up and lights and sound, and you put on a show. Now, at 58 years old, 40 some odd years later, I'm a bit spent.
A bit spent.
But I still do it.
It's a long time to be doing that stuff.
Yeah. And so I've gone through many different machinations. I've played many different roles from, I've been a cameraman, I was a cinematographer, I edited for a very short amount of time. I've directed a couple things, but I'm mainly a producer, and I've been producing for about 25 years, and that's what I do.
And that's what you do. And is that the best of the jobs you've had in that field?
No, I love being a camera operator. There's nothing better than being an operator.
Really?
Yeah, because
now you say camera operator. What's the difference between that and a director of photography?
Well, on a movie or a TV show of a certain size, the director has a director of photography.
Right.
And the two of them, after reading the script, black letters on a white page, and go, okay, here's what the scene calls for. It's 3 people sitting in a room. We're going to start with the 3 shot, then we're going to go a couple 2 shots, and we're going to do a bunch of singles, and we figure out where the lighting comes from. And the director talks with the DP about the composition, what's in the frame, but the camera operator literally has his or her eye against the eyepiece and creates that composition and talks with the actors and the AD and the director and everybody about exactly that frame. Left, right, up, down, pan, dolly shot, is it a crane shot?
And figuring the focus here and
exactly,
the focus there.
Depth of field and all that stuff. And the beauty of being a camera operator is that you come to work with just your wallet, and you don't have to be there a minute before call time. And the second they call wrap, you're done a minute later, as opposed to grip and electric and set dressing and wardrobe and props that have to load out for the next hour and a half.
Yeah. And so you did that at one point in time. Is that job not currently available to you?
Well, I'm not in the IATSE anymore. I'm not in Local 600.
Okay.
I was for years. I'm a producer, and I have become a geek, and I'm into budgets and schedules. I'm into logistics.
So IATSE and Local 600, is that the same thing?
IATSE is the name of the overall union in the United States that covers all the departments for camera, grip, electric, hair and makeup, wardrobe, set dressing, props, carpenters. I'm probably missing something. Right. There's the Directors Guild of America, which I'm in, which is directors, production managers, and assistant directors. Uh-huh. There are Teamsters that drive trucks.
And IATSE was just threatening to strike. What was that about?
Well, IATSE every several years goes through a contract negotiation with AMPTP, which is so-called the producers of Hollywood, representing the studios and the big television networks and now the streaming services, to discuss pay rate, pension and health, and elements of the production life, which is how much sleep we get, turnaround time at night and on the weekends, a bunch of other things, medical insurance and whatnot. And the negotiation now has been focusing on getting more sleep and changing the culture of how film and television is made to be less taxing. Just simply put, and for those who are listening, for the 40 some odd years I've been doing this, when I'm on a movie, I work 7 days a week, not 5, not 6. It's a 7-day week.
Right.
Art department's always doing a 7-day week. Grip and electric camera generally is a 5 or 6 day week. Hair and makeup's a 5-day week or so. But the art and wardrobe and producers and production managers and coordinators only do 5, 6, 7-day weeks. And we do 15, 16, 17 hours all the time. It's common. There's no such thing as like an 8 or a 9 hour day.
17-hour days.
Yeah, 17-hour days.
Like 7 days a week.
All the time.
It's insane.
And
so that's one of the main things that IATSE
right. And
was...
so IATSE's been working on a negotiation where there's an agreement where there's more turnaround time, more sleep. Generally, there's a term called 12 on and 12 off. I'm not sure if that's going to work or not. Long story short, there's a negotiation with a handshake deal about 3 weeks ago, and literally walking into tonight, today's the 12th, right? Of November, this weekend, the entire nation of IATSE members will vote to ratify this contract. And nobody really knows if it's going to work or not. If it does, there's some better benefits, but there are a bunch of members who are not totally happy with what the negotiations are and where they went.
And will that give people 12 on, 12 off?
It's hard to say. I don't know enough of the detail yet.
Talent always have 12 on, 12 off?
For some reason, the Screen Actors Guild is 12 on, it's 12 off. Yeah, right. You have to give actors 12 hours off, but the crews get 10 hours.
Right.
And so generally, like if you live an hour from work, so it's an hour to get there, an hour to get home, and you do a 13, 14, 15-hour day, or whatever you get for your 10-hour turnaround, you have no life. And you do that for weeks and weeks, if not months on end, and the industry will knock you out. It's really hard to stay in a relationship and have a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife, and children.
How many of those do you have? Do you have a boyfriend?
I don't. Well, you're my boyfriend.
Oh, sweet. Now everybody knows.
No, I'm married to Isabel, and we have 2 children. And here's what I'll say, actually. I actually think becoming a producer is one of the reasons why I was able to get married and actually fall in love and keep my marriage together. Only because...
Okay, do tell.
Well, only because the one option I have as a producer is that I'm not loading the trucks. And I can swap off every other day with a production manager or production supervisor to keep an eye on set. Mind you, there's plenty of days where I'm on set until it's called taillights when all the trucks leave. But I get to go home a little bit more than the average Joe.
Right.
And have dinner. Right. But also, too, when I produce a movie, there's an enormous amount of development and prep and post-production. So I'll be on a movie for months on end, and it's just a few of us at the time. And I'm still getting a paycheck to pay my mortgage and health insurance and put food on the table. I'm not on set.
So you started making a few bucks, and you're like, okay, now I can wine and dine my fabulous wife.
Well, mind you, we're not rich. It's just we can pay the bills. Here's the deal.
Well, that's that for honestly versus most Americans, that's really something to be able to pay the bills.
Well, but it's a freelance business. Even for producers, we're only as good as the next phone call.
Yeah,
I need the phone to ring.
It's true. And is the phone been ringing lately?
Rings all the time.
It's nice.
It is nice. It's the industry. Listen, we right now we're in a time where the demand for content is insane. Between Apple, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, HBO, Showtime, the demand is insane. The amount of scripted episodic shows is through the roof. Everybody's working. There's no crew and equipment available anywhere.
Wow. So it's a good time for a young person to get into that business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I've seen you over the years. It's one of the things I've always loved, helping young people out. Meeting somebody anywhere and saying, oh, well, you should do this. Call me, email me, text me.
Right. That's after I yell at them and say, you're sure you don't want to be a doctor, a school teacher, or a lawyer, or something else?
I've never heard you do that, which is really nice.
That's happening more and more.
As you get more and more fed up. Okay, I want to ask about taillights. You said often you're there till taillights, which is when the trucks leave.
Yeah, so we'll do a 13, 14-hour day, and we call wrap. Then it takes an hour or so to wrap everything in the trucks, and that's literally when everybody goes home because the trucks are driving away.
And wrap, I think everybody probably understands that term, but there's other terms. There's other specific movie biz terms.
Yeah, check the gate when we had film.
Check the gate, yeah, or what is the martini shot?
It's the last shot of the night.
And there's something for the penultimate shot.
It's called the Abby Singer.
The Abby Singer,
who was an AD, and he'd always say, "We're on the last shot." No, I'm sorry. No, there's one more after this one. So it was Abby Singer. It's the penultimate. Is the Abby Singer.
Great word, yeah. Penultimate, by the way.
Yeah.
And what other weird little terms are there?
Just the tequila just kicked in, so I don't know
nice tequila.
I don't know with what proficiency words are going to come out of my mouth and give you film jargon.
Well, I have dictionaries.
I didn't bring the film dictionary. I actually have that at the house, but I don't know. There's tons of it.
All right, what's a best boy?
Which is now inappropriate because there are plenty of women who it's the second. So you'll have a gaffer, which is the chief lighting.
Wait, gaffer?
The chief lighting technician is known as a gaffer.
Okay.
And then you have a
gaffer the word sounds more like a sound person to me.
No, that would be the sound mixer or the boom operator.
Boom operator.
Holy
okay,
shit.
So
this is where the conversation's going.
Well, I'm curious. I mean, there's all these weird phrases.
Yeah.
So there's the gaffer.
And then the second below the gaffer generally is referred to as the best boy or best girl, but it's the second electric. Then there's a third electric. Then there's a fourth electric.
Even if it's a woman, do they call her the best girl, the best woman, or the best? They probably call that position the best boy still.
No, they don't. They. Some do. You know what? We live in a time where diversity, equity, inclusion is predominant. And so those types of terms have gone away.
Really? That's so nice.
But you can watch a movie today and you'll see best boy in the credits.
See it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, for whatever, 50 years. I'm like, what is that best boy?
Right. How about craft service? Every job has craft service, is where you get your food. But you know what craft service originated from back in the 20s was when a movie was made, you had all your departments, camera, grip, electric, wardrobe, set dressing, props, hair and makeup, whatever it might be. And then there was always teams of people off to the side standing by to support any of those departments. And that was the craft service, the service for that craft.
Okay.
If you were not called to support any one of those set dressing, wardrobe, camera, grip, electric, whatever it might be, you were cooking food. You were washing dishes. You were sweeping. You were cleaning.
That's amazing.
When was
that?
In the 20s.
In the 20s. All right. And a grip. What's a grip?
You put your hand on something. Seriously. I mean, everybody's a grip, but grips tend to work with the lighting department. So when the director says, this is the shot we're going to do, and the director of photography says, great, this is going to be a 2-shot, and the light's going to come through the window, and it's going to fall off over the refrigerator and onto the rug, and the gaffer and the best boy and the third and fourth electric bring all the lights in and the cabling, then the grips will come in with flags and nets and cutters to shape and sculpt the light.
Shape and sculpt the light to get the light just right.
Right. A lot of tweaking.
On the set, a lot of tweaking.
And what happens after all the tweaking is beaking.
Beaking?
Yeah.
First tweaking, then beaking?
Which means you're beating it. You're done. You're done. Let's just shoot the shot. Let's roll. Come on.
Beating it to death.
Yeah, beating it to death.
Like egads.
Yes.
Well, so what's the best part of the process for you as a producer?
Well, so for years, as I was becoming a producer, I was into finance and distribution and hiring everybody and trying to tell the best story possible. But as years and years have gone by, I hate asking for money. So I stopped eating the pavement. It's just, I just don't like doing that. I don't like dealing with distribution because I don't want to, we're going to sell this to all the English-speaking countries around the world first, and then we're going to sell it to Germany and France and Italy, and we'll translate and blah, blah, blah. I just want to make the film. So I put the word line, L-I-N-E, in front of my title. So I'm a line producer. I'm a grunt.
Okay.
And I specifically am the person that once a film is financed, I get hired. I'm the next person hired, where I hire everybody below the director. And the best thing about that job is that I get to have all these creative conversations with all the department heads, the key creative, cinematographer, production designer, costume designer, prop people, and whatnot, and the ADs, to discuss exactly, precisely every scene on the script, every shot of that scene. I can walk into a scene where there's like 7 people having a dinner party, and we've decided it's going to be 5 shots, master, crane shots, some close-ups and whatnot, and we discuss, is this the best way to tell the story? Well, it's really critical because in this story, Marcia at the end of the table turns to her husband Bob and says, you know what, I don't love you, I'm gay, I'm in love with Betty across the street, and it's this huge climactic moment, and we have to figure out what's the best way to, where the audience watching this shitstorm, this is how they get it.
Bob and Marcia.
Right, and so the issue is, how do you compose these shots? So if you imagine, for all the movies you've ever seen in a movie theater on TV, think about that shot, what you're looking at your TV or in the screen, the composition.
Right.
What's out of focus, what's in focus, what's lit, what's not lit.
But also some of these department heads probably want these pie in the sky things, and you're like, yeah, we don't have the budget for
Well, that's what my job is specifically. Everything's time and money. So all the discussions about, okay, and we're going to do this scene, and I got to start with a crane shot where I start outside, up high, and I sweep into the front porch, and we go through the front door into the living room. I'm like...
I saw that movie.
Right. This happens all the time. And generally, my job is I nickel and dime everything.
Ugh.
And so there's a crane here, a steady cam, but a lot of times the director will be like, I need X, Y, and Z. And you realize, okay, you have 22 crane days. I can only afford 10.
Right.
Either go handheld or do it on a dolly with a boom or something where I can't afford that many cranes. So I'm the guy who generally says no to things.
All right. So who would play you in the movie about your life?
Oh,
yeah.
My wife.
Your wife. All right. And who would play your wife?
Because my wife, believe it or not, so my
who
wife
would
works
play Isabel?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Isabel, are you listening? It's all riding on this, Jonathan.
Well, no, because you know what I learned? It's so amazing. My wife works in technology. She doesn't do what I do. She works at Google and she deals with this insane world of technology and all these moving parts. And what I've noticed is that day after day, we wrap up our day over dinner.
Stalling.
And what she does is literally, she's a line producer at Google. She makes things happen based on time and money. She pushes creative things go. I don't know how.
Talking but thinking inside of his head. There goes a gnat. Stop it, Matt.
I don't know who would play me.
Who would play Isabel?
I said Meryl Streep.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Well, pay attention.
Did he say Meryl Streep? I don't think he... No.
Play it. Yeah. Let's go to the tape.
Meryl Streep. Huh. I would pick Natalie Wood.
Okay.
I mean, apart from the fact that, she's no longer with us.
Okay. Well...
And you, and I'm trying to think, I don't know who I would pick for you.
Let's talk about the movie we cast you in called Antarctica. You were brilliant.
No. Thank you. That was actually one of my questions here, is if you had to choose one actor out of every single actor who ever existed to play a therapist leading a group therapy session of sex addicts, who would you choose?
Cloris Leachman.
Damn you. because that was the thing that you got me this,
Norm
this
Magnusson,
part. It was so much fun.
Yeah, we made this movie Antarctica in 2018 with Keith Bearden. We shot it here in the Hudson Valley.
Jonathan says, "Hey, I got a role for you." I'm like, "All right."
And then you met the director, and he instantly fell in love with you, and you got cast.
And it was
and you did
so
great.
Well, thank you. It was so much fun.
That was such a funny scene.
Thanks again for that.
Yeah.
It was really so nicely written. And
Did you get paid?
Keith, yeah, I got paid. Keith Bearden, the director, also wrote it.
Yeah, very talented filmmaker.
And seriously, it was an amazing movie. If you have not seen Antarctica, the movie, check it out.
It has nothing to do with Antarctica.
Nothing.
He chose the title based on the alphabet, so when you're going through the streaming list, you hit Antarctica first.
That's hilarious. He should have called it Antarctica with like 5 A's.
Possibly.
Like it used to be in the yellow pages.
Like Aaron, AA.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
AA Ron. All right, so...
Wait, Cloris Leachman. So I have to tell this story.
She just passed away, right?
Yeah. So
not too long ago.
I'm shooting a movie down in Texas in 1993 called My Boyfriend's Back for Disney. And she's famous. And I don't know anybody listening to this is old enough to know Cloris Leachman, but one of the most amazing things was we shoot the scene, and I can't remember all the actors. We had a pretty high-end list of actors. This big scene in this living room that moves out to the front porch. And Cloris shows up for her first day of filming, and everybody's excited because she's so famous. And she's in wardrobe and hair and makeup, and we're about to do the first take of this scene, this wide shot. And we roll camera, and the slate claps, and the director calls action. And the first thing she does is farts. And when I mean she farted, she ripped one so loud and so long. And the entire, it was a wide shot, so I had like 7 actors in it, and they're all like biting their tongue. And she goes right into her line of dialogue with a straight face. And this whole scene that lasted like 3 minutes goes on. And just before we cut that first take, she farts again. Director calls cut. Great, we do another take. She farts again.
Cut a fart.
We did a few more angles of it. She farted the entire time, and not once did she break character or smirk or laugh. And the entire cast is like, "Oh my God, there's so much gas." She farted the whole time.
But they're also like, "Oh my God, this is the best story."
And we, the crew, are falling apart. We were laughing hysterically, and she just. Where all the gas came from, I don't know, but boy, did she have it.
Well, you said you were in Texas.
Yeah. There's a lot of gas in Texas.
I guess, where they don't put beans in the chili, really.
Apparently. That's a whole other conversation.
And you did another movie in Texas once upon a time.
I did a bunch. I did Dazed and Confused back in 1992 with Rick
Dazed and
Linklater.
Confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just such a good movie. And that movie is about high school kids.
Certainly is. Just like Antarctica.
Yeah. But they're all my age. Like all the music from that. It's like, oh, that's my year. Those people graduating graduated the year I graduated.
I met Rick Linklater in New York City, actually when, of all things, Jonathan Larson.
Linklater,
the director, writer-director. I met him in New York City at a Jonathan Larson. Jonathan Larson, my old roommate, was actually doing a performance of Tick, Tick, Boom, which is a movie that comes out, or just came out.
Jonathan Larson, who wrote Rent.
Yeah. And Rick was at the bar with this contingent of buddies of mine from Austin, Texas, and he said, "Come do this movie with me in Texas, Dazed and Confused." And he handed me a cassette tape. He goes, "This is the potential soundtrack." He actually handed me 2 tapes and had all these amazing songs from the 1970s. It was quite something.
I love that.
I still have those tapes.
That's how he wooed you to come be the
No, I was like, I'll go to
producer?
Texas.
What?
I said, I'll go to Texas.
Okay.
I had shot movies in New York for a long time and in LA, and I was like, I want to go to the Southwest. I want to get out of New York. I want to get out of LA. And I went south, and I spent several years there doing movies just to get out of the Northeast.
Wow. And what were some of the movies you shot in New York? I'm thinking of one with that guy, what's his name, Spike somebody?
Spike Lee. I did Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues. I worked on a bunch of his movies, a lot of his Nike commercials. Yeah, I met Spike in 1987, and
were you doing camera?
I was a cameraman at the time,
right.
And he said to me, "I'm going to hire you as my white cameraman. I'm going to bring every black man and woman that you're going to train, and you're going to train yourself out of a job, and one day you're not going to work for me."
Really?
I lasted 4 years.
You trained slowly.
No, I trained
Smart.
dozens and dozens of people, and it was great.
And he was a man of his word. Once he had enough black people to do that, he's like, "Thank you, Jonathan."
Yeah.
Huh.
Very talented man.
Yeah. But I love that.
And you know, the funny thing too is that when in the summer, I guess it was May of 1980, before we started shooting Do the Right Thing, I remember going to his office in Brooklyn, 40 Acres and a Mule, the production company.
Right.
And there he handed me a couple of tapes for the potential soundtrack to Do the Right Thing. That was a thing that happened back then. People would say, here's the feel of the movie. Listen to this music. That doesn't happen now. I don't get in a movie and a director says, I need you to hear this album. This is the tone and feel.
But I love that. I love that way of doing it. Yeah. So you're married. How long have you been married?
Holy shit, what a transition.
Well, because I could ask, did you ever at one point in the wooing make a mixtape for Isabel?
No, but here's what I do remember.
Because that was a rite of passage. That was a total third date thing.
God, if Isabel's listening, I've never, that's not me. I don't do that.
Isabel, you needed to demand a mixtape.
Holy shit. But here's what I will say. I remember I met Isabel on a street corner in Nantucket in June of 1997. And we were introduced by a mutual friend. Yeah. And
what was she doing? Like leaning up against the
No, she was passing through with her cousin, who was friends with the woman I happened to be speaking with, Maya Guyard, and an introduction was made.
On a street corner.
Well, it was Federal and Maine, if you know Nantucket. And either way, the introduction was made, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, and he's a producer and a camera, and he did Do the Right Thing and Mo Better. He did Do the Right Thing and Dazed and Confused." And apparently Isabel liked that. To some degree.
What's not to like? It's kind of a cool job.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you must be aware of that as you've been doing it for like 50 years. And people are like, oh, movie business, that's cool. I mean, it's what we've been talking about the whole time.
Right. And there's a lot of, every time I say I work in the film, people's like, oh my God, that's so cool. Now at 58 years old, I'm like, oh God, I'm so tired.
And what would you do if not that?
I'm going to produce a radio show for Matt Rosenberg.
Wait a minute.
Listen, there's 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. There's got to be a time slot for me somewhere.
Yeah. You're going to have breakfast. I have the cocktail hour.
I don't like getting up early in the morning.
Wow. What kind of radio show would you produce?
I have no idea, but I like the title Arts and Crafts and Manual Dexterity.
Huh.
And discussing the effort of art, whether it be writing or painting or storytelling or sculpting or making something out of glass or even cooking, but everything is a physical process.
Right.
And there's with your hands, your feet, or your body, or some level of communication. So there's manual dexterity in everything we do. Like Matt right now has got his hands on the levers. He's adjusting the volume. So there's manual dexterity.
Yeah, because you keep whispering and then shouting.
Right.
So, and there's a baby in the back, which
there's
is
a kid
great.
in the background.
I love that sound so much.
Yeah. It seems that Rhinecliffe's got a population.
Yeah.
When we came here on horse and buggy.
But your dad built a ship. You said he built a trimaran?
Can I just say?
He built a boat of some sort. You said this.
I did, but this conversation is like bing, 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 ricocheting all over the place.
You
yeah,
said
Dad.
Making stuff and
my
manual dexterity.
Dad was
Don't you ever blame me of a non sequitur.
He was in the Navy in World War II, and he was and he was in the South Pacific, and he became fascinated with Polynesian sailing.
Right.
Outriggers, catamarans, whatnot.
Right.
And in the 60s. And in the 90s. Yes, of course. And in the 90s.
Kon-Tiki.
Yes, that's it. I have that book. And in
it was a bestseller. Your dad had it, I guess. And
I think so. I don't remember. Can you let me tell my goddamn story?
Oh, jeez.
So my dad fell in love with trimarans, which are 3 hulls, and there was a guy named Arthur Piver who he liked, and he was lost at sea. But Dad built an Arthur Piver designed trimaran, 36 foot by 20, an ocean-going sailboat. There was a thought at one time when we lived in Brooklyn that the boat would get launched, and Mom and Dad and us 3 kids would sail to Europe, and that we would just live in Europe. Never happened.
How many years of your life was that a fantasy?
For Dad. Not me.
No, for you.
No, it never. I don't know.
No, it was Dad's fantasy.
If my brother and sister are listening, I need to recap this, but I'm pretty sure we did not want to sail to Europe.
But you were a kid growing up with this fantasy as part of your youth. How many years was that an active fantasy in the household?
I think it was like 68, 69, 70.
So that's 3 years.
Yeah, but I think, as I recall, any muscle memory I have is like, nope, that ain't happening.
And did he enlist you to help build the boat?
Well, yeah, my brother Seth and I'll never forget. I remember, my sister Jill was always doing something. My Seth and I always were at the boatyard in Coney Island off of Cropsey Ave back in the 60s. And we'd have to do this or that. If not, we were running around the fields. But I remember one day Dad was putting together the mast, and the runners at the sail, the rigging would go up. I had to put in all these screws. And I remember I put in 100 screws. And Dad remarked on that. He says, "You put in 100 screws." I was like, "Oh my God, I did 100 screws."
This is with a screwdriver.
I think so. Yeah.
Not like
1969. I don't think I had it. I don't think we.
or gas
Yeah.
powered.
Did they have batteries back then?
I think they did.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was manual.
Square batteries.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I recall. And then when we moved to Nantucket, Dad sailed the boat to Nantucket, and he would charter it in the summer times, and he would make us be crew.
What was the name of the boat?
Topaz.
Why?
Because it's the birthstone, my mother's birthstone.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of sweet.
Seth and Jill, please help me. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah, they could call in or text you.
I turned my phone off. You told me to turn my phone off.
No, I told you to turn your ringer off.
Okay.
See, I'm slurring my words already. This is a strong
Can
thing.
I just tell you that I'm...
You can tell me anything.
What time?
Darling.
Jesus Christ, how are we doing on time? Because I am shit-faced.
Well, that's good. So there was a little side action on Facebook. I took the bet on how long it would take you to drop an F-bomb. I don't think it's happened yet.
I have done it several times.
Have you?
Spike. It was Spike.
Did you?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Roll back the tape. Oh, all right. Excuse me.
All right. Would you ask some more questions, please? Can we get on with this?
All right. Are you feeling impatient?
No, it's like you have dictionaries. We haven't questioned anything out of your mouth yet. Like,
How long have you felt this way? Impatient.
right.
Did you figure out who's going to play you in the movie yet?
If that were really a thing, I have no idea who would play me.
Yeah.
I mean, and I hope that never becomes a thing.
I'm going with Steve McQueen.
The current Steve McQueen, not the old Steve McQueen.
Well, yeah, no, Steve McQueen when he was 48.
Oh, that's Steve
Or
McQueen.
58.
Okay, sure.
Wait, is there a current Steve McQueen?
There is, as a director.
Who the hell? Well,
Can you get that bug, please?
oh, here comes the bug zapper again. All right, bring it, Matt. All right, do you have anything more you want to tell me? So,
Yeah, well, I have questions for you.
oh, no. You know, when you have your own radio show,
Okay.
you can ask me all the questions. So you're a scuba diver,
Oh, yes, I am.
and you took that up, I'm guessing, when you lived on Nantucket.
Actually, I had a friend, Adam Mallon, who was practicing it, and I was always fascinated with the process of breathing underwater. He got some level of certification, but I was on a movie in 1990. Come on, Jonathan. No, 1989.
Doesn't matter.
I went down to Mobile, Alabama to do a movie called Mission of the Shark about the USS Indianapolis that brought the atomic bomb to Guam. And we shot for a month in Alabama, and we shot a month in the Bahamas. This is the movie that, in the movie Jaws, the character Robert Shaw references, where, then this is a true story. The USS Indianapolis leaves San Diego with the atomic bomb, delivers it to Guam to be dropped in Hiroshima. And the moment the bomb's off, they had to go back to San Diego, and they had about 1,000 men on it. And the mission was over. So as they were leaving Guam that night, it was really hot. Most of the men were sleeping on deck, and Japanese had been following them and torpedoed the boat and sank it. And so about 1,000 men were thrown into the water. And this is what's referenced in the movie Jaws, where about 900 men were eaten by sharks over the course of the next week. So this is a movie I worked on.
Yes.
So a month in the Bahamas, we shot all these night scenes with all these extras and background actors in the water with the principal actors, going through the processes of being eaten or dead or drowning, whatever it is. But it was on that movie that I was a cameraman, and there were tanks and regulators and whatnot everywhere. And they go, "Put this tank on your back, stick this in your mouth, and go." And we'd shoot the scene. So I learned how to scuba dive on that movie. And then I got to New York, and I got formally trained and certified. And then I had an awakening.
Get formally trained.
Jonathan.
YMCA.
No. There was a scuba diving store on 43rd Street called Penn something. They're going to kill me. I can't remember it. But I got a bunch of certifications. But I had an awakening. I became friends with a gentleman who was a tech diver, and I got into tech scuba diving. And
What is that? What's tech scuba diving?
So there's recreational diving where you get certified to 60 feet or so, and then you can go a little further to 100 feet or so. I became a motorhead, and I went into tech diving, and I went to the most advanced certification called Advanced Trimix, where I'm certified to dive at 300 feet. You have tanks.
It's a long way down.
It's a long way down. There's lots of decompression. I have tanks on my back that are huge, tanks under my arms, other bottles, and you go dive on wrecks 200 or 300 feet, or you You just go out, and it's deep, and it's cold, and it's dark, and it's ridiculous.
Wow. Have you ever scuba dove? Scuba
Nope.
dived?
Tried.
Where I wish I had a book of grammar.
Tried dived.
In the Hudson River, scuba dive?
No, but there is
scuba dive in the
no.
Hudson
But when I moved up here, there was a scuba diving unit somewhere in the Hudson Valley that used to deal with things that would sink in the Hudson. Hudson's got to be dangerous because it's a trench closer to the Kingston side that runs up and down many, many miles, and it goes as deep as 120 feet.
Right.
But the current is crazy. I don't think I'd want to do that.
Okay. Because of the current.
Yeah, and also I'd rather be out in the ocean.
And also, most of it, apart from the trench, is like 5 feet deep.
Ish. Yep.
You know.
And muddy. With bad visibility.
So
Yeah.
terrible diving.
Can I go back to my wife for a second? So my wife, Isabel, when I was really heavily into diving is when we met, and she got into diving as well, and she got certified as well. She got a cold water certification, dry suit certification.
Wow.
I think she got nitrox. So she breathes a gas that has more oxygen in it than air. Air is a gas. And I fell in love with her even more. Now, we don't practice it as much now that we're married with kids. But she's a rock star. And so we're hoping now when our children are out of the house, we're empty nesters, we're going to go back to scuba diving.
Sounds great. So maybe Ursula Andress could play her in the movie version of your life.
God, is she still around?
Steve McQueen and Ursula. No, we're not.
Dude, you are
constrained.
dating yourself.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who else. Bond. Really, the Bond movies had scuba diving.
Right.
Bond girls.
Right.
As they were called.
Yep.
And Ursula Andress was.
I'm getting excited. Can we talk? Because now I only think about my wife scuba diving.
Win. All right, good. Well, you can leave if it's too much for you. You can just take off. We'll fill the next 8 minutes with something else. All right, here I got more questions. I wrote down questions this time.
I'm so glad you prepared.
Yeah, because the conversation is really. What was it like having a twin? You grew up with a twin brother at one point, and you're fraternal twins,
Yes.
not identical twins.
Correct. Yeah, we pledged together.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
No, fraternity. Where does that come from?
Joke. Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. Maybe you're serious. So that must have been fun growing up with a twin brother.
Here's what I would say as an adult. Absolutely fun. My lessons from being a twin, I understand bond. I understand a relationship because one thing you learn as a kid, and you don't know this when you're like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 through your teenage years, is that you can't leave each other. So like if you have a friendship with somebody and things go south, they don't go well, like I'm not going to hang out with that asshole anymore. But Seth and I, through thick and thin, have been through a lot, and we're still together. So we have a bond unlike any relationship anywhere. And so my lesson is the good and the bad, but also I have an awareness, if I may, a profound, deep awareness of friendship and understanding with another human being and the history is an enormous part of it, but I know him and he knows me. We talk all the time.
And you've got a big sister?
Our sister's older than us, but there's a thing, just, for the folks listening.
She looks younger.
Boy, does she look younger. And every time we're out, they go, oh, is this your what is it, your younger sister? No, she's 4 years older, but she looks like she's 22.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous.
So do you think she was ever, when you were kids, like jealous of the bond that you had with your twin brother?
Holy shit, that's an amazing question. Will you ask her that the next time we hang out at the Gnaw?
I'm asking you. What do you think?
I wonder. I don't know.
I would be. It seems like impossible that you
I
wouldn't
think she
be.
thought we were fucking assholes and get these boys out of here, playing with blocks and cars and toys and being idiots. And she was like, ugh. She was 4 years older.
My big sister, 3 years older, had one little brother, and that was more than enough for her.
Right. No, I think we were probably annoying to her at all times.
But at some point, she must have noticed like this special bond that the twins had. Did they call you the twins?
No. Mom and Dad made sure that we never dressed alike, and they made sure that we were independent and individual. Yeah.
Can you sing any of the Patty Duke Show theme song?
I cannot.
It was about twins, right?
You're a whack job. You know that, Norm? Talk about non sequitur. Like, damn.
You're the one who poured me this really big drink.
Holy cow.
All right, more questions. You've got 2 children.
Yeah. Harris, he's 18 years old. He's in college with your son, Moss. What's up with that business?
Nothing.
And you know what's amazing is
They're
that
off at college.
for anybody who's listening, for Isabel and I to go through, first of all, the fact that I got this far in life, that I fell in love, got married, and had children is insane.
Yeah.
And then one kid goes off to college
People say
with
that
my
to me all
best
the time.
friend's son, you.
Yeah.
And they're best friends at the same school. It's just bizarre, and they hang out all the time.
It's amazing. So you have a daughter as well?
Rena, she's 16 and a half, and she just got a car. And now
my God, what kind of car?
she's driving a Subaru, and she's got a job every Saturday and Sunday, and she's on the volleyball.
Her. What's her job?
She works at a store in Rhinebeck, and she sells soap and tchotchkes and
Which store?
oven mitts.
Oven mitts. What
Merriweather's.
store? Merriweather's.
Merriweather's.
Sure I've ever been in there.
They sell very fancy tchotchkes. The owner is pretty amazing. It's actually It's actually a great store. I've grown to love it.
You think
Rena
any
loves
of the
it.
kids are listening right now?
It's possible. Their
Great.
dad's on the radio.
All right, good. Well, so that's the setup. Which kid do you love better?
My wife.
Wow. All right, that was a really good answer. Oh boy, I'm not asking that question. How many movies? No. When's the last time you were really starstruck? Because you're making these movies, you're coming into contact with all these stars. Dazed and Confused had some big stars.
No, it didn't. They
Yeah, it did.
no, they became stars after the movie came out.
Okay.
No, I don't think I've ever. I get starstruck when I meet an editor or a cinematographer or the musician down the street we were just talking about.
Marshall Crenshaw.
Marshall Crenshaw. Like, those people I get starstruck over. Or believe it or not, I forget his name because the alcohol's kicked in, but the man who invented the Steadicam, I met him in the 80s, and I literally, I couldn't talk. I just couldn't talk. I wish I could remember his name right now. But, yeah, I don't get started. Here's what I was taught a long time ago by a very, very famous Hollywood actress who's got many Academy Awards. She said to me, Jonathan, she said to me, Jonathan, when you're around big Hollywood actors, just remember this: they shit on the toilet just like you and me.
Ew.
And I was like, okay, man. And really, at the end of the
much
day,
information.
an actor has to show up on time, know your lines, do your job, and go home and come back the next day.
Right.
They're just a tool in the toolbox, just like the grip, hair and makeup, set dressing, props, wardrobe, that whole thing.
It's true, but still there's this mystique around people who are celebrities.
Know your fucking lines. Just seriously, like when
there
I'm at a
is.
point now when I make a movie, I do not care who anybody
There
is.
is. I mean, if average American's sitting on the street and I walk by, you walk by, Matt walks by, they're like, whatever. And then George Clooney walks by, they're like,
Right. And no,
there's-
that's not me at all. You know what? A
People don't think
cinematographer,
that way.
a sound mixer, or a post-production sound mixer. So this is what amazes me about talent, making movies. I am a strong believer that sound is a visual medium. So when I'm in post-production on a movie and we're doing Foley and sound effects and creating an atmosphere to make the audience feel something, which is an enormous part of the process. It's one thing to see the composition, the frame, two people talking or whatever's going, driving, whatever it is. But what you hear and how you hear it makes you see better and makes you feel it emotionally. And so sound mixers and sound engineers who can bring this atmosphere and this texture to the storytelling process blow me away. And I know a number of people who do this, and those people are like, oh my God, I get to work with so-and-so. It's like,
what does Foley mean?
it's like a sound effect. As Foley would be footsteps.
Okay.
Or ice in a glass.
Right. Okay. So the people who add that weight to
Yeah,
the
are
visual.
Foley people. Yeah.
Okay. And you know some. I know some of them.
Yeah, you're a Foley artist.
Am I?
Yeah, you can do footsteps and clap and snore and listen. You got a radio show. As a matter of
Snore. I
fact,
can snore.
I might suggest you really push the whole Foley artist side of things for another source of income.
Thanks. See, I'm always looking for a new job.
Yeah.
Because the 12 jobs I have isn't really enough. Yeah, our friend Call is sound.
He's incredibly talented. Carl Anderson over in
Yeah.
Woodstock, very talented. As a matter of fact, he is that human being. He is that guy who can look at a scene and know how to make it better. He's worth his weight in gold.
Because he brings a unique mix of sounds to that scene.
Yep, that's right.
Amazing job.
Yeah,
So he looks at somebody walking, somebody opening a soda or unwrapping
yeah,
a piece of bubble
exactly.
gum,
Yeah,
and
it's complex.
And that sound makes it much more real. Just like in painting, a shadow makes something much more real.
That's right. And in writing, when somebody rewrites a sentence to add, the or this or that or the wind blows,
Now that I have Dreyer's English, an utterly correct guide to clarity,
you better use those books, Norm.
Oxford Dictionary and Thesaurus, the Book of Jargon, And this book here, the Music Dictionary, I can always find the right word. All right, we're winding down. This has been broadcasting live from the Nook at the Epicurean, the corner store in the hamlet of Rhinecliff.
The far reaches.
The far reaches. Correct me if I'm Norm. I'm your host, Norm. Matt Rosenberg is our engineer and the guy who created all of this. And Patricia Wend, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
At the Epicurean. Jonathan, thanks for coming.
This is great.
It's always the best. I love hanging out with you.
You know what we're doing next? We're having dinner.
Are we? Yay.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, good. Where are we going?
I don't know. We got to eat something.
Okay, bye.